Victims of police brutality. What really happened behind closed doors? I was pulled over for a traffic stop that was anything but routine. They put the handcuffs on me before asking for my license and then illegally searched my car. When they didn't find anything, they took me to a nearby warehouse that I could swear was an interrogation room. I was locked in a small room with the AC running at full speed, and they took away my jacket before stripping me to my underwear and tying me to the chair. My arms and legs were going numb from the cold, but the detectives were sitting with winter coats wrapped around them. If I asked for my phone call or a lawyer, they told me, "Don't worry, you aren't under arrest, so no lawyers need to be involved." They said they wanted me to confess and put it in writing as well, but I didn't even know what I had done wrong. I didn't confess, however, because I knew I was innocent. Every time I refused to sign the confession, they would get frustrated and beat me with their batons. They even pointed a flashlight in my eyes trying to blind me. I was crying and begging them for help, or at least a blanket to shield me from the cold. "You won't get anything until you tell us the fucking truth." I realized they were going to end my life, so I started screaming as loud as I could, hoping somebody would hear. After my third scream, one of them picked up his taser and pointed it right at my chest. I was tasered over and over again until I went limp from the pain. I had forgotten where I was or what I was doing, and woke up to the officer's shoe in my face. I gave up on everything and signed whatever they gave me just for them to leave me in there for an additional hour. By the time I got to the hospital, I had hypothermia, multiple fractures, and a dozen other life-threatening problems. Once I recovered enough to gain consciousness, I told my family the real truth and said I wanted to make them pay. When we arrived in court, the detectives who had abducted me were smiling and cracking jokes, thinking they had this in the bag. "We have his signed confession, Your Honor." That's what the prosecution started with, and I got nervous until my own kick-ass lawyer started speaking. She presented video footage of me being put into the police car, being taken into that warehouse, and the AC logs that showed it was set to 53 degrees Fahrenheit. Within minutes, all three detectives were fumbling with their testimonies. "We just followed standard procedure." My lawyer replied, "Your procedure would land you in prison if you weren't wearing blue." That was the final straw. The judge ruled in our favor, calling that confession useless since it was obtained by coercion. But it wasn't over yet. With the help of that same lawyer, I sued the city and those dirty cops who thought their lives were worth more than mine. We went to court again, and sure enough, the detectives were laughing. "This won't lead anywhere because the department has our backs. You're just wasting your time." They tried intimidating me again, waving that same taser and baton in my face. But I didn't care about being hurt anymore. I just wanted justice, even if it killed me in the end. My lawyer put their police chief on the stand and asked if this is how they interrogated all their suspects. The detectives stopped laughing the moment their chief said, "No, this wasn't police business." One of them lunged at me during the trial after the assistant chief confessed how violent they were. That pretty much sealed the deal, but the criminals went one step further, going up to the stand to say, "We all know how many crimes his people commit, so why does it matter if we went a little too far in our interrogation?" I guess he forgot their whole defense was based on it not being an interrogation. I walked away with $5 million. Last I checked, those detectives were fired and now work as security at a mall. Cops have their pictures posted under the criminals section and often show up to that mall with rookies, pointing out the consequences of corruption.